It's almost unbelievable the kind of trouble I've been having with the technology lately. Go figure. So I had done a little bit of research on some terminology, and all I really had done was looked at some articles that I found on Yellowstone and taken the numbers that were in the article and a couple other words and looked at the numbers in Strong's and, whatever. Of course, it all leads back to exactly where you think it's going to. It's all evil crap, whatever. But you can learn from that kind of language too. You can also learn from the experience that you have right after with your technology. It's great. um, I just got back a little bit ago from the gas station. My son is works in another town that's like 20, 25 miles away, and he's a convicted felon, and he's had a little bit of a struggle getting back on his feet. We finally got him into the Grace House. It's a sober living facility, and um, you know, helping somebody come back from a heroin addiction is a challenge. But you never give up on people if you can help it. So anyway, while I was at that gas station, they had this uh, sign pinned up that said that they were out of fuel, but they had their like their expensive fuel still was available, the ethanol free stuff, and they had reduced the price on that. And so I'm putting $20 in this car. It's not even my car, so that I can go pick my kid up from work in a little bit, jumping through all the hoops for his probation and all this stuff. And like I've when I managed that tool rental, I went and I got all the fuel for all the equipment, and we used non-ethanol fuel in everything that we had because it prevents a lot of crap from happening to your lawnmowers and whatever yard equipment you're using. Please use only non-ethanol fuel. Okay, anyways, it'll save your costs on your carburetors and your lawnmowers, just so you know. Anyways, when I was putting this gas in the car, it was frothing like diesel. Like if anybody that knows the difference between non-ethanol and diesel will know there's no reason why the non-ethanol should be quite that foamy. It's interesting to me. But hey, they lowered the price for me, so that's nice of them. And that is not what I'm supposed to be talking about. So somehow my life has had a lot of engagement with people that have been sexually traumatized. I don't know how else to word it. Like I wind up in positions, not even trying to, where people are coming to me with stories about of things that have happened, and um, most of those people don't know my family's history. They just start talking to me. There was the kid that actually was the one that helped my son go to jail for the felony. He got a ticket. Um, yeah, they were arrested originally for a little bit of pot smoking by the river, but my son had some pills in his pocket, pills that he used to have a prescription for, but no longer does, and that doesn't fly very well in Idaho. So now he's a felon, and anyways, the kid that was there with him. See, my son was in my car, the car that I was lending him because we had brought him here from Tennessee to try to save his life from the heroin that was attacking him there. And the officers called me and asked me to come and get my car. And when I got there, none of the 17 officers that were there could seem to give the kid that they only wrote a citation to a ride home, and asked me if I would be willing to do it. Weird. Like what mama would want to give the kid that just got her son arrested a ride home. I had never met this kid, and I know what he was, and I know why they asked me to give him a ride home. I'm not retarded in every sense of the word, anyways. So, so I'm asking this kid questions that floored him. Like, I don't know. I just said, "So, how long you been smoking dope with my son? You know, when did you meet him? How long have you known him? He's only been here a year." Then I got a little more personal, and I asked him. Well, I told him, I know that, you know, obviously you're running from something. What started you on it? And I was absolutely floored because the kid was telling me the truth. And the fact that knowing that he knew that he was being listened to and all that, in two different ways. He felt so free in talking to me that I mean, I was almost in tears by the time I got the kid home. His story was that tragic. And it's a common thing. And it's usually step parents. I'm not, if any of y'all are step parents, you know what? Take extra precautions against any thought that might enter into your mind. If that's something that you're struggling with, go and walk around at all these damaged people and ask yourself if you're going to be the one contributing to those broken people, before you put your hand on a child in any way, shape, or form, because there is nothing good that can come from it. I guarantee it. Not on your behalf, anyways. So, with that said, 6 weeks before the school year ended last year, my daughter was hanging out with one of her friends. And she came home and she was weird. And I know my children, I know my babies. And she was being weird, and she didn't want to talk about it. And then I motioned her to a little more private area in our home and said, "How about we come back here?" And she just started bawling. And she doesn't cry for no reason, So what happened was her friend had told her that her dad was molesting her and her sister. And she didn't know what to do because she didn't want to say anything to anybody. She knew that her mom wouldn't believe her. And I asked my daughter what her intentions were at the time, and she said she was confused and she just didn't really know what to do. At the time, she was 14, my daughter. So I used what experience I've had throughout my life and friends and other situations. My brother was wrongfully accused of molesting his stepdaughter when she was 13. And it nearly cost him his life. It cost him everything that he had in this life, but it nearly also cost him his life. And he was looking at life in prison after being stabbed on his porch, after losing his family, his wife, his kids, his home, his job, he lost everything. And when the girl came back and said that she had only done it out of spite because he wouldn't let her stay out late one night, none of that stuff came back to him. And nothing happened to rectify the situation. He had to just deal with what he got from it. So if you're one of those girls, I would ask to have you please strongly consider the impact of falsely accusing somebody can have on their life, and the the ripple effects of everything is a very real thing. So I explained to my daughter that unfortunately, the way that the world works, unless the girl was in a position and a place to talk about it when she was ready, there wasn't much anybody could really do. And I explained to her how things would go with her friend if she told before her friend was ready. And I fully explained to her why this was something that had to be done with help, and it could be done carefully and correctly, um, to get her out of harm's way. And I explained how those processes work. Um, the girl shortly after decided she wanted to talk about it. So she went and got my daughter and another friend that is their local Girl Scout leader's daughter. I'm really glad that this didn't happen with my daughter just alone. So, anyways, they all went to the office and they talked to the counselor there at the school. And the school counselor called the mom. And the mom reacted precisely the way the daughter thought she would. This is on a speakerphone call with my daughter in the room and the other girl, too. So the mom dials dad and puts dad on like a three-way call. Still on speakerphone. The adults completely mishandled the situation. The school officer came, and the dad met the school officer at the school and had a conversation with him, and then they let the little girl go home with dad. And then my daughter started getting harassing phone calls and stuff from the mom, and messages and stuff on social media. And my daughter stopped going to school. She pulled out, and we did the homeschool last year for the rest of the year. And now this year, she's back in public school. And the kid was supposed to transfer, but is now still going to that school. Well, before the school year got over last year, things got worse, as they sometimes do. So, my daughter was worried about her friend, and so she would ask her other friends to check and see if she was okay, because she hadn't been back to school for quite some time. She had finished out the year at another place, like out by where she was supposed to be going to school. And it got back to some people that there was gossip going around about it, and so the counselor called the school officer, and he told her to tell my daughter that if she spoke another word about her friend, that they were going to arrest her. When my daughter came home and told me this, I did a little bit of research to find out who the superintendent of the district was, and I emailed her. And I CC'd the school principal and the school officer, and I could have done it a lot higher up. I could have turned these people's lives into a circus. Knowing all of the things that I know about the laws and what a dishonor they did to this child, whether she was telling the truth or whether she wasn't. What a dishonor they did to my daughter by taking a girl who was trying to do the right thing and helping her friend and turning her into a criminal. I had the option of making it a bigger deal. I requested a meeting with the officer, the superintendent, the principal, and the counselor. Oddly enough, the superintendent couldn't find the time to show up, but the other people did. Now, mind you, these are well-respected people in our community, and I'm not saying that what they did was intentional by any means. I was enraged when my daughter told me what she had told me last year. I was enraged, angry, and I knew that I needed to take this to my father. I wanted to handle it, and I wanted to make these people's life a circus. I really did. I wanted them to pay for what they had done to my daughter, let alone these other people's daughter. If her dad had done that to her, then she would never trust another person again. And if her dad hadn't, then, wow, this kid needs more help than what we realize. My part wasn't to decide whether what the girl was saying was true or not. My part was to protect as many people possible as I could, including them. Not in a bad way. I contacted the right people to tell them, that I needed to have a conversation with them. And I was fully expecting them to come at me with a bunch of lies. When we got in the conference room, it wasn't really me talking. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. And I explained to them the way that things are supposed to work, because I just knew it. Like, you don't have the school officer come and handle this. There's protocol, and I already know that there's protocol. So I help them understand the reasoning behind the protocol without condemning them individually. And I took a look at who these people were individually. The school counselor was this very young, fresh out of college girl who was probably so terrified that she wasn't going to pass her classes to get this job that she struggles dealing with, like, the emotional stuff that our kids are going through in the schools today. And if any of you have been out of school for more than 10 years and you don't have kids in high school, they're living in a different world than we lived in. I guarantee you that, even over the last 10 years. So, if at all possible, you guys can homeschool your kids. I would strongly recommend it. The only reason why I didn't is because my husband is from a different mindset than I am, and he wants the kids to have that experience. And I see the value in that. Don't get me wrong, I really do. I feel like, we're in a time where this world will eat you up, and it's not going to be something that is going to, I don't know. It's just not a good place for your kids to be, I don't think. Anyways, so during this conversation, they were honest with me. I was really shocked when they started, like, just opening up honestly to me, because I felt like they would need to protect themselves, because they could be charged for what they did, the way that they handled it. They could be the ones behind bars, and because that was criminal what they did. I explained to the officer how to properly investigate a case. I explained to the principal how to properly do the paperwork and who to call. And I explained to the counselor why, what mistakes she made, and why, and how to go about it further. And if she were to ever be in another position where she was overwhelmed and didn't know, I gave her some avenues of people to call so that she could answer or ask the questions that she didn't have answers to, people that know the laws and know how to protect children properly. And to never be embarrassed of what you don't know, because we all only know what we've been taught. And if you've been taught all your life by this world, then you're not going to get it right. So that's why I don't follow religion or people, because we do live in a time where the Spirit will teach you. You go and seek the counseling for whatever it is that you're looking for. And if your eyes are open, your ears are open, and you're truly talking, you're going to be answered. And I've advised this before: be careful with that. Be prepared to hear the answer, especially if you know that you're looking into some dark stuff. And I've learned over the last couple of years that this world is a lot darker than what we realize, and a lot more goes on than what we realize. And fear has no place in this work. It just doesn't. It can't. And I get what happens to people. And that's why, I take a certain approach to things that might seem like I'm holding back. Right? I think a lot of people do that. They hold back. For one, if people knew, they wouldn't believe you to begin with. And another, if you can't communicate with people in a language that they understand, then they're not going to understand what the hell you're trying to say anyway. So I'm learning. My goodness. Um, I don't even know if I said what I wanted to say. I hope I did. There's this lecture I was listening to. I don't even remember who was giving it. Um, I'm subscribed to so many channels because I want to hear what everybody is saying. Um, I want to hear from lots of different places. And then I take what I learn and what stands out to me back to my Father, and I ask him to show me, and the Spirit guides me and shows me anything that I'm curious about. Anything that I'm supposed to know. It doesn't find my lost car keys for me when I lose them. Eventually it does, but still working on perfecting that one. Yeah. Just kind of being funny for a minute, you guys. I don't know how many of you guys are dealing with lung infections and weird stuff like that, but this year I'm having a really hard time breathing. And I quit smoking 10 years ago, and I had been doing really, really well with not getting lung infections or anything like that. I don't go to the doctor unless I absolutely have to. Yeah. So this reoccurring lung infection is interesting, the timing, with all of this thick sky. It's kind of gross. Today actually was pretty clear. My tea might be cold by now. I used to drink coffee. I loved drinking coffee. Coffee and a cigarette first thing in the morning was like a must. And something happened in my stomach. I think either that or the coffee changed. I don't know, but I can't even drink it anymore. It makes me sick. It's super sad. Just wish coffee tasted great. It doesn't anymore though. I have this friend that was telling me about, I have this dog barking in the background too. It was telling me about some people that were picking on him because of his clothes, and I was just kind of surprised at that, because the message that this friend of mine was trying to deliver to these people was really impactful and important, and they couldn't see past his shirt. Are you kidding me? That's so sad. It's so sad to me. I hope you guys have gotten enough of an education by now to know that all of that other stuff, there's a real purpose for that in the right place. Look at the fruit, you guys, because not everybody can afford the clothes you think they should be wearing. My stuff, my hat, somebody had mentioned something to me about that too, and it was free. It looked better on me than the other ones that I had the option of taking. My clothes, most of them, I just, whatever people give me, I really just, it makes me sad to think that this, even here in this community, that people base stuff like that off of what you're wearing. It's unbelievable. I hope y'all haven't missed any important messages because of that kind of a discrimination. If you have, maybe go back and check out what you missed, because maybe you missed a lot. Anyway, I got to go pick up my kid and take this noisy dog out. I don't even know if you could hear what I was saying, but I love you guys. I'll talk to you again real soon, I hope. God willing.